Hello, Leo. Thank you so much for being here as always, you guys. Beautiful, beautiful pull this week, Leo. So from Lay Vampire, you pulled reason, listen to advice, think clearly, and intellect. And then from Chakra Wisdom, gratitude. Immediately for me, looking at the two, it's like whatever is going on right now, you're being asked to clear your mind and think and go back to a place of gratitude. It's so important. It changes your vibration. So rather than focusing on the problems and all the things that you don't like or that you don't want, you're being asked to just clear it all away. All of that shit, just clear it away. Whatever you feel like is wrong. All right, Leo. Here's your overall for the week. The Knight of Swords. And I don't feel like that's a bad thing. But what I will say is, whatever you're wanting to do right now, be careful about acting too quickly, right? But with the Knight of Swords as the overall, I always feel like, especially with this deck, a sense of conviction in what you're doing. And then the other thing, though, too, is we could be talking about either you or somebody else here delivering a harsh truth, being blunt, being clear, but we'll see how this is playing out. Now, in the past, the Seven of Pentacles. What I love about this one, especially with this deck, is this card says, how is reality comparing to your expectations right now? Are you seeing the results that you want? Right? Reevaluating things, taking stock of what you have to show for everything that you've done. But with the Knight of Swords, I see it as a good thing, Oh, shit. Yeah. It's funny because every time I see the Tower, when I see the Knight of Swords, I always feel better about it. So the Tower in the present moment. Now, I'm always waiting to see what's happening in your environment that caused this. Because clearly it's like taking stock of what you have and then drastically changing things. I don't think that this is a shock to you by any means. When the Knight of Swords shows up with this, it's like, boom, gone. I'm not standing in the rubble. I'm getting the hell out of here and I'm moving on. But it's like, I feel like for a lot of you, you realize that it was needed. Like it was needed. Now for some of you, it could very simply just be that, you're making a major move here. Maybe things didn't shape up to what you wanted them to be or what you expected them to be. And with the Tower making sudden, drastic changes, right? Oh, look at that shit. Hell yeah. Future conditions. Leo, I'm telling you, I don't know what it is with your readings, but I'm starting to love them. The Ace of Pentacles. And with the Knight of Swords, this is basically not letting anything stand in your way here. And with the Ace of Pentacles, if things didn't work out so well before, there's definitely an opportunity coming through for continued growth, right? Sustainability. That's always the important thing for me with the Ace of Pentacles. Now, for some of you, definitely this could be about, a major move, like moving into a new place or moving into a new job. I don't really feel like this is centered around a relationship. But I could be wrong, right? But everything is practical right now and clear, very clear. But I love it. I love it in connection to the Oracle cards. It's perfect. It's perfect. You better not pull anything. God damn it. Okay. And this kind of goes back to what I was saying before. So your best path to follow is temperance. Don't be too quick. Make sure that whatever action you are taking, especially with making such major changes, that you stay balanced, right? Temperate, moderation, getting that nice, even flow between the way you're thinking, the way you're feeling, the way that you're seeing things, and the way that you're acting. I don't necessarily feel like this is about needing to be patient with anything, especially with the Tower being in the present moment. Just keep your balance, Don't be too quick. But then, at the same time, don't back down, though, either. I kind of feel like that, too, with the Knight of Swords. Okay, and that may be why. Or, but it looks like in future conditions you kind of get to a place where, you know, this is more clear than any other possibility. So now with Temperance being there, it makes sense. With the Seven of Cups being attached to the Tower, you're talking about drastic, and I mean drastic, sudden changes that you're making based on your evaluation of what you have with the Seven of Pentacles, right? But with the Seven of Cups attached to that, it's, you know, I don't think it's about you not actually doing it because of the Tower being there. I think this is more about, you know, all the different possibilities, right? But the other thing is don't go into anything new with expectations. You know, be open to, you know, the opportunity and what could possibly happen, you know. But again, right, like if you have different choices in front of you, whether it's, you know, places to move or work here, you know, just keep yourself balanced because what you're about to do is going to be drastic. But it's needed, though. Okay, so, and here's where, you know, Temperance comes into play too. So when you're looking at the Ace of Wands as hopes and fears, you know, again, a new beginning for you, absolutely. But, you know, is this the right option? You know, because the fear would be, especially with the Seven of Cups, that things are not going to go the way that you expect. You know, you're looking at passion versus practicality here. You know, but then the other thing though too is, you know, a hope to follow a new passion, right? But I kind of look at it with the Seven of Cups and think, you know, you don't want to make drastic changes based on a physical desire, you know, because I'm still looking at the need for long-term stability, because that is where the Ace of Pentacles leads. You know, but I look at that and I think the same but different because of this, you know. And then coming out the Page of Pentacles, you know, and with the Knight of Swords being there, you know, again, don't be too quick. But then at the same time, you know, you still want to move forward with that feeling of courage and conviction. Absolutely. But with the Page of Pentacles, you are going to have to work from the bottom. Right? That is what the Page of Pentacles is for me when I look at this. When you look at like the Knight of Pentacles, you're talking about slow and steady progress, right? Things moving slowly. This is the initial start here with the Page. You know, you're going to have an opportunity here to build something better. But, you know, it is working from the bottom back up to where you want to be, to the top, right? When you look at Death, and what worries me is how you move into the Hangman. Death is about the ending of a way of being. You know, it is the ending of an era, right? Traditionally, you see a king lying dead on the ground, death on the horse. You know, change is coming. You don't have a choice when death shows up. But it's all about, you know, that transformation, right? And the new beginnings here. But I'm looking at it with the Seven of Pentacles in, are you really done? Or is this something that, you know, you can't let go of just yet? But with the Tower, it's almost like you're forced. And then with the Hangman and looking at it, it's like keeping yourself in a fog almost. You know, and fantasizing about how things could be. And then it's like waiting for something to happen when you're the one that needs to make something happen, right? And then with the Ten of Swords, what I worry about here is that what didn't work out before, what didn't produce the results that you wanted, it's definitely over with. You can't go back. But accepting that it's over may be a painful thing for you. But again, it's over. The worst is over. Right? You can't keep yourself in that state of limbo. You have to see that new perspective now, right? No matter how difficult the ending is, you know, because the Tower, it's like it has to happen. Things have to change, you know, and I still look at Temperance and think, you're okay. It's just, you have to stay balanced, right? Stop hoping for the new beginning and start making it happen. And I think you do. It's just that there are other circumstances that you're dealing with, needing to let go, like seriously needing to let go. And maybe the idea here of, having to start over is difficult in itself. But, it's ultimately going to lead you to a place where, you have that long-lasting stability, right? And then resilience. And I like that, especially with what's coming out here. Basically, it's saying that you'll be able to bounce back. So you need to open up and you need to speak the truth, right? When you're looking at the throat chakra. And once that truth comes out and you hear yourself saying it, it's like immediately you get to bounce back, And again, I go back to the oracle cards. No matter what is happening, gratitude is going to bring you to a higher place, where the possibilities are going to be better than what you've experienced. So, really, it's about getting back to a place where you feel like you deserve to have love, right? But then also needing to be patient when it comes to allowing that into your life, especially for those of you who've been through some pain here with that Ten of Swords and then looking at death. That's a rough one. But you're okay, though. It's okay, but what I feel like is you need to speak the truth, but it's your own truth, but you need to hear it. It's not like you need to speak it to somebody else. It's about you needing to say it to you, and the truth is that you can bounce back from any difficult situation here and have things work out in a much better way, and actually see the results that you want this time. All right, Leo, it's a beautiful reading to me, despite the fact that we're looking at difficulties coming out. I do think that looking at the Seven of Pentacles and the Seven of Cups, this to me kind of looks like, fantasizing about how things could have been, right? And then, continuously trying to see it in a way that is not going to work, because then I look at death and I think this is over with. You can't go back, and this should have been over with a long time ago, but you are looking at a brand new start. I mean, absolutely. Between these two, anybody would want that. But you're going to have to work here, right? You are starting at the bottom. But with the Tower and the Seven of Cups, I do worry a little bit. I am hoping that, this is about looking at the different options. But the problem is with the Hangman being connected to that, with the clarifiers coming out, if you keep yourself in this state of limbo waiting for something to happen, then it's like things are just going to happen around you and you're going to be left, fantasizing about things that aren't real. Right. But then the other thing is especially with the Knight of Swords, don't have any expectations, especially if things are drastically changing, right? But I feel like for a lot of you, it's you realizing that this has to happen now. It's like all of those expectations and fantasies are like completely wiped away just in one shot, just boom, gone, right? But that Ace of Pentacles is right behind it. But like I said, with death coming out and then looking back at the Seven of Pentacles, the only way that you're going to get to this new start is if you put in the work here to accept that it is over. You cannot go back, but that's not a bad thing. But I look at the Ten of Swords and think, especially with the Hangman, needing to look at it from a different perspective. This may be something that ended in a really difficult way, but the worst is over. Right? It's over. I like the clean slate feeling with this. I just think that for some of you, it's going to be a difficult change. Right? Now, and I go back to these and I think all you need to do is just clear your mind and go back to a place of gratitude. For a lot of people, it's not that easy. Right? But it'll change everything. And then I'm looking at the soul trees and I think, especially with the Knight of Swords, this is about you needing to speak the truth to yourself. And that truth is that you can bounce back from anything with resilience being there. But you need to speak it almost. It's like you need to speak it to yourself, and that's what will bring in that feeling of, courage and conviction, right? Now, as far as Whispers of Love, You have to have patience when you go through the needing to love yourself process, because it's not easy. A lot of people take that for granted because we hear it all the time. But when you really go through that process, it can be painful. But you'll be better off for it, right? When you really truly start to believe that you deserve to have love and you deserve to have better than what you've experienced before. I love this reading. I think it's perfect. You know, whether we're talking about something as simple as work or needing to move, whatever it is, ending is for your benefit right now. You may not see that, but as long as you're willing to put in the effort here to start over, that Ace of Pentacles, like I said, you know, this to me is something that will take you the long haul.